In the last session of the chapter, The Sultans of Delhi, we covered the slave dynasty. Now today we begin with the Khalji dynasty, with Balban being the last ruler of the slave dynasty. After him there was the new onset Khalji dynasty, which lasted from 1290 to 1320 AD. Now, among the Khalji rulers, the first one was Jalaluddin Firoz Khalji. He was the first ruler of the dynasty. He was not a strong leader. He adopted a lenient policy towards the Mongols. He was succeeded by Alauddin Khilji. Now, here's the chart which we were discussing yesterday, which had those 5 dynasties which comprise of the Delhi Sultanate. Now, basically we finished the slave kings, and now we are on the Khalji dynasty, the first among the Khalji rulers being the king called Jalaluddin Firoz Khalji. Now, while we are doing Jalaluddin Firoz Khalji, the points we just need to know is he was the first ruler of the Khalji dynasty. He was not a strong ruler, and he had very lenient policies towards the Mongols. That means he was not very strict about it. He was not very adamant that they should not interfere. Rather, he was very lenient. And soon, the major part was done by the next ruler who followed him, Alauddin Khilji, who was an able ruler, and he came in 1296 to 1316. Alauddin Khilji was very ambitious ruler. He wanted to conquer the whole of India. To achieve his aim, he quickly won over the nobles and soldiers by distributing gold from the treasury. He imposed many restrictions on the nobles. Nobles were not allowed to meet and have festivities without his permission. His spies were active everywhere. So the first thing Alauddin Khilji did was, to become an able ruler, he needed nobles. Nobles were the people of his kingdom having high ranks. So he wanted to keep a check on them, because if he would give them liberty, they might start disobeying him. So for that, to keep a check on nobles, he was very adamant. First thing he did was he distributed gold to his nobles and soldiers. That means he kept them happy. Then he imposed certain restrictions after that. First he made them happy by distributing gold. After that he imposed certain restrictions, and apart from it, he kept spies to keep a check on them. That means the spies are those people, jasus. So he kept those people, spies, to keep a check on the nobles who were playing a major role at that time in any administration. Now the next heading about him is expansion of the empire. Alauddin wanted to expand his empire. The first step in this direction was the conquest of Gujarat and Malwa. He tried to establish his control over Rajasthan by capturing the forts of Ranthambore and Chittor. After the capture of Chittorgarh, it is said that Rani Padmini, with all other Rajput women of the kingdom, committed Johar. Alauddin heard of this and ordered slaughter of his enemies. Amir Khusro, the court poet who accompanied him on this expedition, records that 30,000 Rajputs died on that single day. As a brilliant general, he conquered territories in quick succession. He launched campaigns in the Deccan led by Malik Kafur. He was the first Delhi Sultan whose army crossed the Vindhya mountains. Malik Kafur defeated the Yadavas of Devagiri and Kakatiyas of Warangal. He then set forth in AD 1310 to attack the Hoysalas of Dwarasamudra and the Pandyas of Mabar. So now the second thing that he did, first was kept a check on the nobles. Now the second thing that they are telling you is the expansion of the empire. Any king would be called if he is able to expand his empire. And for this, what he did was he conquered the places like Gujarat and Malwa. Then in Rajasthan also, the main places which he conquered were the forts of Ranthambore and Chittor. And as you've heard that after the capture of Chittorgarh, Rani Padmini, you remember the story, the Padmavati, the movie that was made, in which Padmavati committed Johar. Now this was the holy pyre where the fire was set in, and women, to keep their dignity, had jumped in that burning fire and had killed themselves to save their pride. Now, all this account of this capture and expansion, the court poet at that time, Amir Khusro, he was the one, he is the main source of our knowledge about Alauddin Khilji. So Amir Khusro, who was a court poet, he told in his writings that there were 30,000 Rajputs who died on that particular day when this massacre took place. Apart from this, the next was his Deccan campaign. It is under the expansion of the empire only. These were the northern places, north mein hai ye India ke. These were the Deccan campaigns in the south. Now his very efficient general called Malik Kafur, you have seen in the movie also, Binte Dil, you must have seen. So it was Malik Kafur, he was his very close servant, and he took over the charge. He went for a expedition. He crossed the Vindhya mountains. The Vindhya mountains are in the South Sea here. This is the place for the Vindhya mountains. From Delhi, they made an expedition to crossing the Vindhyas. Supposing this is the North India, the southern portion of India has been dealt, and they reached to the places called Devagiri, where the Yadavas were ruling. Then they also went to Warangal, where the Kakatiyas were ruling. Then they also made an expedition to Dwarasamudra, where Horsalas were there. And then the Pandyas were in Madurai and or Mabar, they have said. So these were the major areas in the Deccan. So he not only made a campaign in the north, the northern frontiers, but also in the southern frontier. So basically in this we'll see he defeated the Yadavas of Devagiri, Kakatiyas of Warangal in 1310, Hoysalas of Dwarasamudra, and Pandyas of Mabar or Madurai. Then all the rulers in the Deccan, the south rulers, they accepted his suzerainty. That means they accepted him as more powerful, they started to work under him. After him, there were weak rulers. Basically, the weak ruler among them was the Khusro Malik, who was later on dethroned, and it was taken over by the Tughlaqs. The last thing now we talk about under Alauddin is his economic measures. Alauddin wanted to conquer Deccan and Rajasthan. For this he needed a strong army. To maintain a large army, he needed large amount of money. So what all he did? He increased the revenue collection. He controlled the prices of all commodities, food grains, cattle, slaves, etc. Then the Sultan made arrangements for the government to buy all excessive non-perishable commodities. A strict watch was kept on buying and selling of commodities. Anyone found cheating was severely punished. Under Alauddin Khilji, the state brought the assessment and collection of land revenue under its own control. The rights of local chieftains to levy taxes were cancelled, and they were forced to pay taxes. There were 3 types of taxes. Number 1, on cultivation called kharaj, which amounted to 50% of peasants' produce. Then number 2, on cattle. Number 3, on houses. The revenue reforms made more money available to the king. With the help of the money, Alauddin was able to keep a permanent standing army. He imported horses and paid his soldiers in cash. A descriptive role, that is chehra, was maintained for each soldier. So, coming to the economic measures, just the highlighters which you need to remember. The conquest, he wanted to have a large area under his control. For any conquest, what is needed is large army. You need to have a large army to conquer one area after another. And to maintain a large army, you need large amount of money. So for large money, you needed revenue. That means the money should come from somewhere. So now what all he did was, in the marketplaces, all the prices of the commodities were fixed. Like supposing one shop is selling a soap for 10 rupees, in every other shop it was checked that no shopkeeper could sell in different amounts. It was all under one category. That means all the prices of each commodity, each thing which was sold had a fixed price. Then number 2, buy excess non-perishable commodities, whatever was extra and which do not perish with time, which do not get spoiled with time. Those excessive things were brought and kept by the king himself, and then he later on distributed it for the shopkeepers to take and give it to the people to sell it to be sold in the market. Then number 3, strict watch was kept on buying and selling of things. Anything that anyone was buying or whoever was selling, a strict watch was kept. That means all were under observation, and anyone who cheated was punished severely. Then assessment of land was done, what kind of a land they are having, a peasant is having, and collection of land revenue was all under the control of the king only. He removed the local people, local merchants, local chieftains, and all this land assessment, that if it is a fertile soil, fertile land, or is it a barren land, all was assessed and done accordingly. And then collection of taxes was done. All this was done by the king himself. No mediators were involved. Then there were 3 types of taxes. Kharaj, 50% of the peasants' produce was taken to the king, and the remaining 50% was for the peasant. Then there were taxes on cattle, how many cattle you are keeping. Then on houses, the kind of house you have, you had to pay tax. Now the result of all this was he had more money. He could keep a standing army with that money. Now this is a very important point. For a nice army, he needed nice horses. So he had branded horses also. The best breed of horses were kept, and he did not want the soldiers to feel bad in any way. So he paid his soldiers in cash. Now once you are being paid in cash, you are working, you know your king is going to give you money, salary at the end of the month. So you work very efficiently. You're paid in handsome money for it. Then comes the very important point, last thing, chehra. That is, in those times they had IDs. That means the identity card was properly maintained. The chehra, the description of each soldier's face was recorded and kept as an account, so that there could be no mingling. Like keeping a large army means you have to keep a record of all the people who have joined in. So for that you needed a lot of patience, lot of written work, and for that he had IDs, the identification of the soldier who was there. It was kept a record of it and was dealt properly. So today we covered the 2 things basically. The Khalji dynasty, which have 2 rulers, Jalaluddin Firoz Khalji and Alauddin Khalji. He was, just a few points were given, but in this Alauddin Khilji, it was given in detail, telling you about how he checked on nobles, his expansion in the empire, his Deccan campaigns, as he covered the south of India also. Then the last being the economic measures which he took, that means the money related things which he sorted out so that he could have a strong army, had a lot of money with it. So for that he controlled the money affairs by following these economic measures. We stop here for today.